3 AI assistants. 30 days of testing. Thousands of prompts. And one question that everyone keeps asking: which AI is actually the best in 2026? I'm not talking about benchmarks or marketing claims. I'm talking about real, everyday use. Writing emails. Debugging code. Researching topics. Planning trips. Analyzing documents. I used Claude, ChatGPT, and Gemini side by side for an entire month, and the results genuinely surprised me. Because here's the thing, in 2026, all three of these tools cost about $20 a month. They all write. They all code. They all answer questions. So the real question isn't which one is good. They're all good. The real question is which one is good for you. And that answer depends entirely on what you do every single day. So let me break it down category by category: writing, coding, research, creativity, and pure value, and by the end of this video, you'll know exactly which one to pick. Let's start with writing, because this is where the differences become obvious fast. I gave all three the same tasks: write a professional email, draft a blog post, summarize a long report, and rewrite a clunky paragraph to sound more natural. ChatGPT with GPT 5.4 is competent. It writes clear, grammatically perfect text. But here's the problem: it tends to be verbose and a little too agreeable. Ask it to write a persuasive argument, and it'll hedge everything with disclaimers. It sounds like an AI wrote it. Gemini 3.1 Pro was honestly the weakest in this category for me. It's fast, sure, but the writing often feels generic and slightly robotic. It works fine for quick summaries, but ask it to write something with personality or nuance, and it falls flat. Claude, specifically Claude Opus 4.6, absolutely dominated this round. The writing is natural, varied, and genuinely sounds human. It understands tone in a way the other two don't. When I asked it to write a professional email with a firm but polite tone, it nailed it on the first try. When I asked for a creative blog intro, it gave me something I could publish with minimal editing. Claude also has a massive advantage here: a 200,000 token context window. That means you can paste in an entire 50-page document and ask it to rewrite specific sections while keeping the overall tone consistent. ChatGPT's context window is 128,000 tokens, which sounds similar until you're working with really long documents. So if you write for a living: emails, reports, articles, anything, Claude is the clear winner here. Now, coding. This is where things get really interesting, because the landscape has shifted dramatically. On the SWE bench, that's the benchmark that tests whether an AI can actually solve real software engineering problems, Claude Opus scores around 74%, and GPT 5.4 is right there with it at about 75%. Gemini is close behind but slightly lower. But benchmarks only tell part of the story. In my real-world testing, Claude is the undisputed king of coding in 2026. And I don't just mean in its own chat interface. Claude is literally the engine powering the most popular AI coding tools: Cursor, Windsurf, and Claude Code. If you've used any of those, you've been using Claude under the hood. When I tested complex multi-file refactoring, the kind where you need to rename a function across 20 different files and update all the imports, Claude understood the architecture and made the changes correctly. ChatGPT is solid for coding too, especially for quick scripts and debugging. It's great at explaining code and walking you through solutions step by step. But for anything beyond a single file, it doesn't match Claude's understanding of project structure. Gemini was honestly the weakest for coding in my testing. It can write functions and explain concepts, but it struggled with more complex tasks like setting up a full-stack application. So the verdict here is clear. If you code, even a little, Claude is your best bet. And if you code a lot, Claude paired with Cursor is basically a superpower. Research is where Gemini pulls ahead, and it's not even close. Gemini has something the other two don't: direct, live access to the entire web through Google's search infrastructure. When I asked all three to research current events, compare products, or find specific data points, Gemini consistently returned the most accurate and up-to-date information. It cited its sources. It showed me where the data came from. And with its massive context window, up to 2 million tokens on the Pro plan, you can feed it entire research papers, legal documents, or books and ask it to cross-reference information. That's genuinely incredible. ChatGPT can browse the web too, and it does a decent job. But in my testing, it occasionally hallucinated sources or pulled from outdated pages. It's getting better, but it's not at Gemini's level for pure research. Claude can access the web in some configurations, but it's not its strong suit. Claude's strength is in analyzing documents you give it, not finding information on its own. Here's the thing though, if you live in Google's ecosystem, Gemini is a no-brainer. It integrates directly with Gmail, Google Docs, and Google Drive. You can ask it to find an email from last week, summarize a document in your Drive, or pull data from a spreadsheet. That integration removes so much copy-paste friction that it changes how you work. So for research and Google Workspace users, Gemini wins this round decisively. Now let's talk about creativity and multimodal features, meaning images, video, and voice. This is where ChatGPT and Gemini both outshine Claude, because Claude has a notable limitation: it doesn't generate images at all. 0. If you need AI-generated images, Claude will write you a great prompt to use elsewhere, but it won't create the image itself. ChatGPT has DALL-E built right in. You can describe an image in the chat, and it generates it instantly. The quality in 2026 is genuinely impressive: photorealistic portraits, custom illustrations, charts and diagrams. And the integration is seamless. You can ask ChatGPT to write a blog post and generate a header image in the same conversation. Gemini also generates images and even video. Google's image generation has improved dramatically, and the ability to create short video clips from a text prompt is something neither ChatGPT nor Claude can match. But here's the real creative superpower: ChatGPT's advanced voice mode. In 2026, this feature is genuinely mind-blowing. You can have a real-time conversation with ChatGPT. It understands tone, emotion, and context. You can interrupt it mid-sentence. It feels like talking to a very knowledgeable friend. I use it while driving, cooking, or walking, just asking questions out loud and getting instant, natural responses. Nothing else comes close to this experience. So for creativity and multimodal, ChatGPT takes the crown, with Gemini as a strong second. Finally, let's talk about overall value and the ecosystem around each platform. Because the AI itself is only half the equation, the tools, integrations, and community around it matter just as much. At the standard tier, all three cost about $20 a month. So the base price is essentially a wash. The differences show up when you look at what you get and where you might want to upgrade. ChatGPT has the largest ecosystem by far. There are thousands of custom GPTs, specialized versions built for specific tasks like fitness coaching, legal advice, language learning, and more. The plugin system means ChatGPT can connect to external tools and services. If you want an AI that can do everything, and I mean everything, ChatGPT is the most versatile option. Claude is more focused. It doesn't have the massive ecosystem of custom bots and plugins. But what it does exceptionally well. The trade-off is depth over breadth. Gemini's value proposition is tightly coupled to Google. If you're already paying for Google Workspace or YouTube Premium, Gemini might be included or available as an add-on. That integration can save you money if you're already in Google's world. Now, about those power tiers, ChatGPT Pro is $200 a month. Claude Max is $100 to $200. Gemini Ultra is nearly $250. These are for power users and enterprises. For most people, the $20 tier is all you need. The verdict on value? ChatGPT gives you the most bang for your buck because of its ecosystem. But Claude gives you the highest quality output per dollar if you primarily write or code. So here's the bottom line summary. After 30 days of testing, the results were clear. For writing and documents, Claude wins. The Pro's quality, the 200,000 token context window, and the ability to follow complex instructions make it the best writing tool available. For coding and development, Claude wins again. It powers the best coding tools in the industry, and its understanding of multi-file projects is unmatched. For research and Google Workspace users, Gemini wins. Live web access, cited sources, and seamless integration with Gmail, Docs, and Drive make it the research champion. For creativity and voice, ChatGPT wins. DALL-E for images, video generation, and that incredible advanced voice mode put it in a league of its own. And for overall value, it depends on what you do. ChatGPT for versatility. Claude for quality. Gemini for Google users. The beauty of 2026 is that you don't have to pick just one. Many power users, including me, subscribe to two of these. Claude for writing and coding. ChatGPT or Gemini for everything else. At $20 each, that's $40 a month for access to the best AI tools on the planet. That's less than most streaming services. So that's my 30-day deep dive into Claude, ChatGPT, and Gemini. If this helped you decide which AI to use, hit that subscribe button because I test new AI tools every single week. Drop a comment below telling me which AI you use daily and why. I read every single comment and I love hearing how you're using these tools. And if you want to see more AI comparisons, tutorials, and tool reviews, smash that notification bell so you never miss an upload. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.